Thank you for tuning in to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Today's topic is going to be brief. I'm not going to do a long one because I thought I had already pressed the go button a little while ago, so I'm like halfway through a spiel that is not being recorded. So I feel stupid, and it just makes this a whole lot shorter. So, but that's okay. That is okay. I do look a little unruly on here. That's fine. Couple things going on, that really need to be mentioned is the Biden administration and judges are going to go hard in the paint right now against the Second Amendment, and they're going to go hard in the paint against people being able to open carry and defend themselves. I believe that when the federal government, especially, judges do not reserve the right to tell people anything. What they can do is they can look at cases and make decisions and rule on things that are kind of common sense, for the layman. But when you have situations like them trying to rule that people cannot have something that is an inherent right, which a lot of people say, well, you do have the right to defend yourself, but it doesn't have to be with guns. Let me ask you, do you want motherfuckers to start 3D printing their own weapons? Do you want motherfuckers to start making their own brand of explosive device and carnage? Like, is that what you really want? Something you cannot track at all? Something you cannot defend against because you don't know the kind of crazy engineer that are out there, right? If you've ever been to Idaho or Wyoming or Utah or Oregon or Washington or Montana, there are some, or even Tennessee or North Dakota, South Dakota, anything in the fucking northern part of the United States. And then you got the southern part of the United States where you've got Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. You got the South. I mean, just pretty much all over the United States. There are crazy, kooky individuals that are creating their own armament. Okay? They will create things on par with military grade weaponry. If you think I'm kidding, you're sadly fucking mistaken, right? So when you go after people's legitimate guns and legitimate ways to defend themselves, they will be creative and they will create things that go boom, and they will create things that go boom, boom, boom at everything and everybody, because you're creating a world of fear that they don't feel comfortable living in. Okay? Why is it that we have a Syrian fucking person who obviously hated America, dude is Muslim, only killed white people? How is that not a hate crime? I'll wait. And then you have the Biden administration using this as a moment to exploit people's emotions and call for common sense gun control. Well, you know what the fucking stupid thing is we've had legislation that has been on the table that is common sense. Okay, bipartisan bills getting thrown out because the Democrats, and this is what the sad part is. Like, you will legit have Republicans come to the table. And not just Republicans. You're going to have Republicans, you're going to have Libertarians, you're going to have everybody all in agreement on the one bill. And you're going to have the majority of the Democrats like, no, it's not good enough. We want all of them. We want the whole kit caboodle because, people can't have their firearms against us. We just can't have that. We can't have another Capitol situation. Well, if you don't want another Capitol situation, don't steal an election. Don't. And when people who voted in this country are demanding a fucking recall, demanding a revote, or hey man, do a recount at the very fucking least in front of our eyes so we can see what the fuck is going on, oblige. Why not? They are constituents and they are taxpayers and they are citizens. Why on God's green earth is it not allowable for them to observe what goes on? Why is it not allowable for them to challenge what happens just because one administration that wants to get into power says so. The fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Who is it that you think you are that you can just come out here and say, you know what, American people, we've had this tragedy in Colorado, the state of tragedies, and we're just gonna go ahead and voluntarily just start taking your guns and just see what you can do, right? So that is an affront. That is an affront to the American population, who is like, you know what, come get it. You're activating the crazy. You want the crazy situation to happen. You want people to come out of their minds to say, you know what? Let me see a federal officer. Let me see a fucking town police officer. Let me see a sheriff's deputy. Let me see a motherfucking a city fucking worker of any kind come to my fucking door and demand well, can I see your firearms, Mr. Welch? You sure fucking can. Right in the face. Right in the goddamn face. Because you're not going to be able to just take firearms from people without a fight. Or without using SWAT teams in the middle of the night. And once people get the gist of what you're doing, once they figure out, hey, these guys are going like street to street, just stripping weapons from people, you're going to start having pitched battles. You're going to have people driving out in the mountains, driving out into the sticks, formulating fucking groups of warriors, and they're going to come back into town and start really fucking off police and start really going door to door to those police officers' houses, to their condos, to their fucking luxurious fucking digs that they fucking live in off the government dime. And they're going to fuck them off way worse than they're going to be able to do to us. Facts. Like, if senators did not understand the whole point of the Second Amendment, by now, when you were crouching in fear, motherfucker, at the Capitol, you don't understand the power of the American people. Or you do, so much into the sense that you want to just deprive everybody of their fucking Second Amendment, just so you don't ever have to go through that again. Well, I'm sorry that you have post-traumatic stress from the American people. You should be living on eggshells every fucking day anyway, motherfucker, because if you don't adhere to your constituents and you don't believe in the American people to start voting for the American people, then you're going to have bad shit happen to you. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it fucking should be. That's how America was built. Not so that, all the corporations that are backing you are getting everything that they want, but the fact that the American people are getting what they want, getting what we fucking demand. Like, you should be fucking afraid of peeking outside your fucking house. And it really shows, because if you've looked at the huge swath of Americans that are, in Congress, they're very light. I'm talking pale. Even if they're darker complexion, I mean, they're lighter than they would be if they were out in the sun as much as everybody else. And it's just a sad state of affairs that, hey, you can't go outside and be as free as we can because you're too afraid of us. And you fucking should be. And what's crazy to me is you have judges who thinks I don't know why judges think they have all this power in the world to fucking just unilaterally do shit. They don't have that kind of power. And if it's a ruling that they make that goes against the Constitution, it's just not valid. If there's a law in the books that goes against the Constitution, it's not valid. Okay? So if they're restricting your free speech, not valid. If they're restricting your ability to own a firearm and you haven't committed a crime, you haven't done anything, and they're using the fact, and what they're doing too is they're trying to pass legislation with certain verbiage in it to really alienate a specific demographic of human being. Guess what demographic of human being that is? The United States veteran. Clever. Very clever, because the verbiage is, well, if anyone has any sort of mental health, anything going on in their service record, going on in their record period, they are going to try to deny them their ability to defend themselves against the government. So, veterans know you're coming, okay? These are the same veterans that are going to say, come and get it, right? And then you're going to have all these officers that are probably serving as well, getting cut down by their veteran brothers because they're dumb enough to just follow orders. You've got these kids, ages 17 to 23, to maybe 25 that are just straight going to follow orders. They're not going to think for themselves. They're going to get bullied by the upper chain of command and the federal government into massacring their own people. And if you don't think that they would, they absolutely fucking would. Absolutely fucking would. And it's going to get to the point where those individuals are going to wisen up. And they're going to realize, like, yo, if they could do that to these people, I'm going to be in that same fucking category in like a year or two or 5 years whenever I get out. And I sure as damn hell want to be able to defend myself in a situation. So you will lie. You will say, I have no mental health issues. I have nothing. No headaches, nothing. I'm good to go. I've been in 4 combat tours, but I'm great. Everything's freaking peanut butter and jelly up here. We're good to go. And that's the whole facade that you're going to portray until that shit snaps, until you become something more volatile than anything, because you're lying to yourself at that point, right? And you join the ranks of police officers who are, taking work home with them. They're kicking the dog, they're beating the wife, they're smacking the kids, and they do that because not only do they face horrific shit day in and day out. They've faced horrific shit back overseas when they were serving, right? But should you, in that situation, just wantonly deny someone their ability to defend themselves? Because what if that same veteran that night has a home invasion against a guy who clearly does not fucking care about the law, and they have no mechanism to defend themselves other than hand-to-hand combat and whatever it is the veteran can grab within that time? I'm still rooting on the veteran because it's still a trained combat person versus somebody who's probably not trained, but they're armed. So it's kind of a level playing field at that point. But I digress. It's just we're to the point where we cannot allow the federal government to make the decision to just clean people out of their firearms and to instill mechanisms that empower local entities like sheriffs and police departments to go out and do this, because they'll do, like, cops will do anything for a paycheck. They will. These are the high school graduates that have no other ambition, right? These guys have no other ability, no other capability, no other skill set other than to wear a badge and a gun and yell at people and steal from them and extort them and threaten them to threatening to put them in a cage. Even though these are the same people in high school who actively did drugs. They probably drank underage. They did, they were one of the boys too, or one of the girls. They did everything that you fucking did. And then they lied their ass off to get into law enforcement. I never smoked weed. Bruh. No. Now, to be fair, some people haven't, and they're athletes, and generally the athletes don't. But those people usually go on to like Division I, Division II scholarships, Like, they're not the ones that are hanging out, fucking their hometown, kicking around a can for, a couple weeks until the academy starts up so they can go to the academy. Nah, not likely those people. Mm-mm. Now, there are people who are like, man, I fall in a traditional law enforcement. My father's father's a cop. I've always wanted to be a cop. That's all I've ever wanted to be. Well, great. Why did you want to become a cop? And once you became a cop, do you believe in what you do? Now, there's an individual who believed in the power of law enforcement so much so that he left his career up into internal affairs hands. And it turned around and bit him in the ass. He reported wrongdoing by a supervisor. And internal affairs said, you know what? It's actually easier to cut the guy who reported than it is to cut the supervisor. Let's do that. His name is Christopher Dorner, if you don't recall. That gentleman had a very big disagreement on how life should have gone and how things should have been. Because he was right. It should have gone the other direction. Now, I'm not condoning him just going after law enforcement or their families. But I understand it. I get it. Do I think he should have been more efficient? For sure. Do I think he should have had a longer span of time uh, to torture the Los Angeles Police Department? Absolutely, absolutely. I really believed if he would have lived longer and had been able to engage the people more to his side through social media, because it wasn't the same back then as it is right now, where you can easily just go live and have access to people. Wasn't around back when Christopher Dorner did his thing, um, and it was harder to get the attention of the news media for fear of tipping off the hand of the LAPD, who tracked him through his phone illegally. But I digress. So that's how they found out where he was. It wasn't even reports, Collins. It was they knew where he was going because they had his phone records and everything like that. They were getting help by the FBI because they knew it was a volatile situation. They had to eliminate a threat that knew all their secrets. So yeah, one of those things. And then we have um, just situations where you got the Syrian guy in Colorado. You've got the president calling for more more gun control. All they want to do is take more guns, and they're relying on people's emotions to do that. And it's not like I don't feel sympathy for the victims of this heinous crime. I mean, if it were my family, I would want vengeance. Actually, I'd want where, where is this guy from? Who are his people? Right? Who do I need to go fuck off? Not, well, we're just gonna wantonly just say like we want everybody to not have guns, because you see places like the UK, you see places like Australia, New Zealand, where they're not free people. They may look free, they may look like they're happy, but they are 100% controlled by their government entities. Not Americans. Now, Americans are so unruly that we have a third of our country incarcerated. That's how unruly we are. That's how no give a fuck that's built into our psyche. That's how much of fucks are given. None, like absolutely none. Um, and it's because we have been dealt a shitty hand by our government for way too long. They've been in charge for way too long, and it's time to really go in and fuck shit up. Quite frankly, we need to tear down the FBI, build that shit back up. We need to tear down the CIA, the ATF, the federal government, all the senators, congressmen, all of them need to face Madam Guillotine. All of them, every single one. I don't care. I don't care if it's your favorite senator. I don't care if it's Crenshaw or Cruz or whoever your buddy is. I don't care. I don't care if it's the Libertarians. Axe the entire motherfucking lot of them. Guillotine them and then throw fresh people in there. If you're, over the age, it should be fucking younger people in there. It should be, millennials and people that are dealt with the shit for way too long getting in there and really making some solid changes, because we've lived in a generation where we haven't had the same opportunities as boomers and, Gen Xers at all. Like, nowhere near the same opportunities financially. They lived in a time where things were much, much cheaper or much more affordable. They lived in a time where, they've benefited 150 billion% more than millennials will ever get a chance to do. Like, we were entering the workforce in 2008, like between '04 and '08, during this crash of the American economy. And we lived through that. We lived through the aftermath of that. A lot of us had to stay home during that period. Some of us didn't. We all joined. Some of us joined the military. Some of us just grinded through that period of time. That's what I was doing. I was grinding. I was working, 2.5 jobs, and it was just too much. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to get a big boy job where they paid me enough to where I could just do it on my own, and I did. I had to fight for that though. And so is there a positive way out of everything without resorting to violence? Yes. If the United States government will just capitulate to the American people, And say, you know what, we're doing a bad job. We need to recuse ourselves. We need to fire ourselves. We need to get people in here who are fresh. They've got new ideas. They're not party people. They're their own genuine human being, and they have a genuine belief of the direction of the United States into the technology age, because that's going to play a big role going into the technology age. We live in an age now where we're on the precipice of, a few years from now, we're going to have cyborgs. We're going to have flying cars. We're going to have, people living on the moon and people living on Mars. And we're going to have planetary mining going on Mars. And, we're going to have that going on in the asteroid belt, which would be, a huge undertaking. We're going to have the first world's, big space station out there in space. We're going to have communications, that are very easy for us to do at the drop of a hat. So a lot of things that right now we're pushing into is being beat down with a fucking mace and a bat by this generation that just will not let go of the yoke. But here's what they want. They want their legacy to be like, hey, regardless of everything that goes on, my people, my lineage will be the lineage of people that are the richest, most powerful beings ever, right? No, it's not going to work like that. There's going to be a definite series of civil wars, battles, space battles, you name it. All of that's going to occur in due time. All of it's going to come to fruition. And those who are in power now, as much as you want it to be, you're going to lose power. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose everything, because the world is turning into a place where we need technological engineers, cyber folks. You'll need programmers. And that's not the Bronze Age mentality of people that we're working with. Right now, we're working with kids who love new interfaces. They love apps. They love technology. They live in the fantasy space of anime, and they live in the world that they will build. And they love building. They love creating. They love fixing things. They love increasing their ability to refine things, and they find entertainment in the virtual setting, and in the virtual rooms, and things like that. So that's going to come into fruition as well. So Star Trek was not too far off on these environments and on these things, and if we go ahead and learn from that, the whole desire to perpetuate a culture like the Ferengi, which pretty much like space Republicans. And it's funny because we don't have to allow that to be, right. We don't have to rely on that so much as being able to move forward with like actual earnest and understanding and support of one another, like Elon Musk. Like, I have never met Elon Musk. I would love to. I'd love to sit down and have dinner with him, just have a conversation, you know. But I could see myself like, if he were to just say, you know what, Dave, come to work for me for the next 24 years of your life, and you're gonna get paid a base salary, you're gonna get taken care of. I would do it. I would drop everything right now and go do that. I'd say, I'd quit my job tomorrow. I'd be like, sorry guys, I'm gonna go work for Elon Musk. I'm gonna go do that. If he said, come work for me, I don't care if it's like, I don't care if he wanted me to be the test dummy for every one of his fucking rockets. I'll wear a cross and be like, listen, let's go. Let's give you my last ride, but fuck, I'm part of history. If he needs me out in space to sit on the moon and monitor radio traffic, I'll do that. I'll do that all fucking day. Fuck, let me live on the moon for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years. I'll be glad. I'll be glad to do it. I really would. I would love to do that. Let me go work in a factory. Tesla, SpaceX, you name it. I'd love to. And like I said, I don't know Elon Musk from Adam, but Do I believe he treats people well and his employees? I do believe though. I do believe he does. I do believe that people that work under his umbrella, he's conscientious of, and that if he really wants a good workforce, if he wants a good work base, he creates it. And how often do you get to see the CEO of a company down in the trenches with you? Like, that's a fucking leader. Like, this guy's at the SpaceX launches. This guy is seeing the hard work that you fucking did on this rocket, whether it fails or is successful, and he's cheering it on. Like, that's a leader. That's somebody who's like willing to fucking say, make the sacrifices to get you where you need to go. And you're helping him achieve his dream whilst achieving your dream as well. So if you have dreams that are mutual, you're going to work hard to make that happen, right? So there is another side of this pandemic that can be beneficial. There's another side of this heinous thing that was done by the Syrian guy. And we need to take a hard look at Syria. I don't know why we handle them with kid gloves. Now, are they an ally only, a name only? Like, for real? Like, I don't know what we're doing with that group of fucking people. Why is it that we allow their extremists to come over here and fucking do what they do? Now, that's not everybody. I fucking know that. Hell, like, that's, it's just like saying all officers are bastards. Well, to be quite fair, they are, because that's their profession of assholes. They have a profession that breeds that mentality, that breeds that, it's... And you know what makes them distinct from the United States military? Is the United States military is made up of people that are absolutely willing to fucking defy orders if that shit does not make sense. They really are. Like, believe me, I've seen guys out in the field, sergeants, corporals, you name it, tell plenty of leadership to go fuck themselves if they want certain things done because it goes against the UCMJ. Or it just, it doesn't meet our ROI or rules of engagement or ROE, rules of engagement. It does not fit it. If you can see motherfuckers marking around, shooting in the air, whatever, like, that's not grounds to shoot at them. Does it make you want to defend yourself and get into a defensible position? Yes. But is it enough to say, hey, we're getting raided here. Like, what do we do? No, that's not the situation at hand, right? It could turn into that, but you have to be ready to take that on, right? But when you have people that are, used to facing that kind of situation and they're not being shot at, they're not just going to woefully engage because they have firearms. It's just not going to go. So anyways, the worst thing that the federal government could do right now is go after people's firearms. Absolute worst thing they could do, because people out there do not have to follow. They will not follow the same rules. They will not just stop having weapons just because you took away the firearms made by known gun dealers. They're going to keep creating their own shit. They're going to forge their own firearms. They're going to make their own bullets. They're going to, get their own powder. They're going to find ways to arm themselves and be fucking very, very violent and very, very dangerous, in a very short amount of time, especially when you purposely create a divide that shows the people that are on the government's tit and they're doing well, they're eating well, they're living high on the hog, and you show that disparity to somebody who doesn't have anything, who works their butt off, who is just, throwing their everything they can at the wall to see if it sticks and, hopefully come out to where they meet somewhere in the middle where they're not having to sacrifice, one bill over another. Like, I honestly don't know how some people have not already gotten up to craziness to do savage violence to political figures. And we're starting to see it more and more often where you've got people pissed enough to where they're going to start doing it, right? When you're living hand to mouth and you're so focused on just getting the next meal, you don't stop and think like, you know what? Instead of just worrying about hustling, I'm gonna hustle my way up to the fucking senator's door or the congressman's door and fuck that dude right off and go eat off of his own plate. If you don't think that mentality is creeping into people at the moment, it is. If you don't think the mentality of, hey, you know what? These FBI fucks make good money. Or these ATF fucks make good money. Or, hey, these CIA guys make good fucking money. Let's go take what they have. Because all they're doing is spying on Americans anyway. Let's give them a reason to fucking spy. Let's give them a reason to fucking fear us again. And go take their shit. Go fuck up their families. Go do fucking wrong to them. And then they're going to come out and make statements like, we don't understand why the American people are so mad at us. Just like the Fraternal Order of Police in New York. Like, do you motherfuckers not really realize why people are mad at you, you dumbasses? Do you not really get it? Like, the New York Police Department, after 9/11, you guys were fucking heroes. You guys couldn't have been at a higher point in your life. Couldn't have. The whole history of the New York PD, NYPD, the firefighters in New York, you were at a pinnacle. You were the quintessential what it meant to be an American law enforcement and to be an American firefighter. Because, and believe me, departments from across the country, man, they really wanted to be you guys. They were envious. They were like, man, these guys know how to get it done. They're locking down the city. They're locking down Manhattan. They're really focused on doing the research to catch the bad guys, to figure out what happened. These guys are doing it right. But then you spend the next 20 years shitting on that dream, shitting on that place that people put you in because you want to go against the American people and do stop and frisk. You just want to violate rights because you're from New York, man. Nobody has rights but the police. Nobody has rights but us. You fucking morons. You fucking mooks don't understand that you shit where you eat. Dumbasses. Just because you live in Long Island and you fucking police over in the Bronx doesn't mean you can fucking shit on them. You're a fucking same way right away, bitch. They will find you. Fucking morons. Dumbasses. I can't believe the level of stupidity that the New York fucking police department has gotten to. Level of stupidity. We're so tired of people shitting on us. Don't give them a reason to. Do good things. Stop shitting on the American people. And good things will happen to you, dumbasses. And that's for any department in the country. Broward County, fucking Florida. We don't understand why people just hate us. We don't get it. Release the Florida man. Do you fucking not get it? People hate you motherfuckers because you're on video all the fucking time. Your sheriff's deputies, all the police in that area make false arrests. They violate rights wantonly up and down the fucking day in and day out. They think that's okay. Then you've got LaPorte, Texas. Nobody's ever heard of LaPorte, Texas. And for good fucking reason, because nobody goes there. Nobody gives a shit about LaPorte, Texas. Except for people in LaPorte, Texas. Right? And that's probably a good thing, because those motherfucking cops are the dumbest motherfuckers next to probably the Dallas PD, next to, probably Coryell County. Anywhere in Coryell County, you've got, that whole, anywhere near fucking Fort Hood, those police officers, oh my God. They take the cake. But anyway, going back to LaPorte. These dumb motherfuckers will they will arrest you for walking, just, where you legally can walk. If, they don't get it. They really don't. And they don't understand. Their brains are too small that they're creating animosity with millions of people that don't live in their fucking town, that will go to their town just to fuck with them, just to catch an easy lawsuit. I don't know, if I'm a civil rights attorney and I've got a buddy that's a civil rights attorney and I will just go be a citizen in that fucking community and I got arrested illegally, I would be smiling at them. You don't realize how bad you fucked up. After their qualified immunity is done, I go for their house, their car, their kids' college pension, you name it. I'm going after it all. And people are like, well, that's just a frivolous lawsuit. No, it's not. It's a lawsuit with a purpose. It's a lawsuit to teach them a lesson. And lawsuits do not generally teach lessons because they have so many immunities. They're the only special case in, anywhere in the United States that has this special treatment. Why? Why do judges, prosecutors, and fucking police officers get some special qualified immunity? Why? What makes them inherently able to fuck up more than anything else? Why? Oh, is it because the lawsuits would get out of hand? They're already out of hand. Like, you don't realize that people should absolutely be compensated for the wrongdoings of your local police department. And if you cannot hire educated enough people to be in your department, maybe you got to just go back and say, you know what? We're going to wipe the slate clean. You guys do not fit what we need. I don't care how long you've been a law enforcement officer. I don't care if you've been 18, 20 years. You're not getting your pension. You don't pass go. Just get the fuck out of the building. We're taking your badge and gun and go fuck yourself. Because they may be qualified in the eyes of the post certification, but unless we start making the standard, like, listen, unless you have, a specific degree, like in political science, where you actually had a class in the Constitution, you should not fucking be able to be a police officer, hands down. Or at least pass several classes in constitutional law, before you can be a fucking police officer, because where they get in the most hot water are violating rights and knowing when they cannot do so. And they always chalk it up to training. I never understand this. Like, just because their training isn't adequate does not mean that they are not at fault. Sorry. That would you say that to the Germans? Like, we just weren't trained on how to deal with the Jews. You're going to allow the Nuremberg excuse to be fucking used by our own officers? Dumb. Dumb. They do not deserve to pass go. They don't deserve to go home. Like, if there's an officer involved shooting, I would force them to stay at the station until everything's all said and done. And if it even looks like that it's going to be a bad shoot, or that it's going to be an at-faulting thing, or if it's going to be, hey, like, man, we recommend you stay here because you may have committed a crime, and we're going to review it. We're going to go to bat for you, but we're going to have to really look at this, like, and treat you the same way we're treating everybody else, because that dude's in handcuffs. We pumped him full of 45 shots, but, he's still handcuffed to the bed over there while getting surgery. We're going to have to handcuff you too until you, justify why you decided to shoot someone in the back, or why you decided to murder an unarmed human being, or, like, without the hammer of the gods coming down on people like that, they're going to keep doing it. And we've already seen an uptick in police killing civilians. It increases every year. It increases every stinking year, where you have law enforcement officials just wantonly killing people and nothing happens to them. Breonna Taylor case. You got what? What? Nothing's going to happen to those guys. Well, it's because I didn't know, man. I swear, I didn't know. What? Swear to God. Anyways, I'm gonna let it just end here, because there's so much to be said on the fact that there is a lack of, it's actually pretty basic. There's a lack of accountability. There's going to be an overabundance of crying and wailing over the Colorado shootings. And that's going to be propaganda used to strip rights away from the American people. And we shouldn't stand for it. We absolutely should not allow these leftists to say, you know what, we're going to take away your freedoms because these people were killed in a racially motivated thing by the Syrian guy. Do you see the logical fallacy there? I hope you do. Anyways, please check out the channel, like and subscribe. If you don't like the channel, okay, well, it is what it is. But if you do like the channel, please check out the podcast over in Anchor. Anchor does have a couple of shows, and if it's on iTunes, it's called David's Life and Observation. David's Life and Observation on Anchor. There's some episodes in there that are kind of between my YouTube shows. YouTube shows are really meant for a little bit longer pieces. If I do anything longer in Anchor or iTunes, I kind of split it up into segments where I'll do a 30-minute segment and probably a 25-minute segment. This one's a straight shot because it just needed to be said. It just really needed to be put out that the Colorado shooting is going to be used as propaganda. There's no police accountability, and we just see the pattern, and we just see the repeated shit that we've been saying since, golly, what, 2016, 2017, and it's just never going to stop. It's just ongoing because there's no mechanism to curtail the power of the police. And the same thing is they're trying to restrict the rights even more by taking away firearms and then putting people in categories to say they cannot own firearms. And it's people who have not committed a crime or done anything malicious. It's just they have a mental health diagnosis from the military, or they have a mental health diagnosis for some other reason, but they're not using and abusing their Second Amendment rights. So I digress. Let's battle against it. If the federal government wants to come take my shit, just find out. I will shoot first.